Hi, I'm Jan Ozer. I'm chatting today with Bill Wishon, Chief Product Officer at Phoenix Real-Time Solutions. We're here to talk about a recent announcement with Play Anywhere for live sports interactivity with the lowest video streaming latency on the market. Thanks for joining me, Bill.
Hey, nice to see you again, Jan.
Let's talk about Phoenix first. Tell us about the focus of your networks. What does your network do? Who do you serve?
So here at Phoenix, we've built a global network for the purpose of creating interactive video experiences around the globe. And so in order to create an interactive video experience, you have to have both end-to-end delivery in the sub-half second realm where you can have an interactive experience such as the one we're having now, where you can have audience members talking to people in the stadium or on the field, and also synchronization across the audience so that as you have different viewers across the globe watching something, they can be interacting with each other either in band, so in the application itself that they're viewing the video in, or even out of band, whether they're text messaging or using social apps to interact with their friends and other people around the globe. That synchronization of the video means that when I say, hey, that was a great goal, you're seeing the same thing that I am at the same time versus a lot of the technologies today. You might have your friends watching the same thing on the same network at the same time, but then they say, hey, great goal. The other person's like, what are you talking about? And it won't happen for them up until maybe, 40, 50 seconds later. And so this is the network we've built. It's to enable that interactive video experience. We have over 34 different points of presence around the globe. That's to make sure that whenever someone's connecting, they're connecting to a local point of presence to keep that latency low and the performance high. We have built all of the features that you would expect out of a network capable of supporting broadcast video. And so that's things like adaptive bitrate video, server-side ad insertion, digital rights management, high quality codecs, like everything you'd need to, and you would expect in a traditional CDN we have in our interactive real-time CDN.
Okay. I mean, you're based on WebRTC, which is an open protocol. What's special? What's different about your technology offering?
So we are based on WebRTC, and that allows us to take advantage of the open standard and support all of the clients out there, like all the browsers that already have WebRTC capabilities built in. So that's one reason why we chose the protocol, was that open standard and compatibility across lots of different types of devices. We built this company to specifically address real-time interactivity at scale and aiming at a set of features that would satisfy a broadcast market. So, that's our origin story. That's what we built the platform for. We didn't start off building it for, sort of chat experiences or any other kind of experience. We built it for this sort of broadcast interactive use case. The other thing that I think that we do that's somewhat different is we've built all the core componentry from when we acquire the signal through every step that is on that critical path, that critical latency path, that half a second or less globally ourselves. And so we didn't take sort of the open source stacks and start building from there. We built our own WebRTC implementation, our own cloud orchestration layer, our own analytics and reporting. And that's for a couple of reasons. We wanted to be able to control the core pipeline so that we could make sure that those tolerances, were met and continue to perform well. And then we wanted to be able to, also make sure that we get the best quality, for every viewer, on their network as they're watching the video. And so that's one of the things that we, kind of pride ourselves on, is that, building of that core componentry, those critical path pieces, ourselves. That gives us a little bit more control and flexibility over how we build what we do.
One of the issues with WebRTC is scalability. You can't use a standard CDN to distribute. How have you addressed that?
Yeah, so when you think about what is WebRTC, it's a mix of actually different protocols underneath the umbrella of WebRTC. It encompasses the authentication exchange, SDPs, the network connection, ICE, stun, and turn. But also, when you look at just the video portion, you're looking at SRTP, or Secure Real-Time Protocol. And so, we recognized that, you can build a network that scales out the delivery of SRTP streams just as you can scale out the delivery of, HLS-based streams. You do need a different infrastructure for it. So it isn't something that just, plugs into existing CDNs. we had to build a custom CDN essentially to support this. But we did so with a sort of scalable CDN mentality. So when I came to Phoenix from working in the CTO's office at Akamai, I was there for a number of years and had sort of inside view as to how these things work at scale. And I came and saw kind of what Phoenix had built in this real-time space and recognized the sort of parallels to how these things operate, and was excited to join and try and kind of push the envelope in terms of latency, because that's the kind of one thing in the CDN world. I mean, you got higher quality video now online than you have in traditional broadcast, and you've got these giant audiences now watching video online, but latency went from traditional over the air of maybe used to be 3 to 5 seconds. Now over the air has even gotten a little more latent at somewhere around 15 seconds. But the online video is somewhere around 50 or 40 or something like that. And so that just seemed like an area that technically, as a technology guy, we can do better. And as a guy with a business mindset as well, it does add value in certain situations. And those situations are the interactive ones. And so that's really the sort of Venn diagram of things is, what experiences out there would benefit from interactivity. And when you start thinking about interactivity, then you kind of forcing that latency envelope lower and lower until you get to real time.
So what are those experiences? I mean, who are your typical customers and how large are they scaling?
So, early on, it was use cases and markets that required real time, things like auctions, where you have people that want to participate in an auction remotely, but if they're 40 or 50 seconds behind, they can't really compete with the people that are local, right? So we had a lot of, we still do have a lot of auction customers. And then you had those, to some degree, very overhyped, but the sort of online live quizzing, sort of sector for a while was, adopting real time, because you wanted to have that person that was the host interacting with the audience and having quiz questions and so forth. And there's still, a good amount of that now sprinkled out across different experiences, whether that's second screen experiences for game shows that we've done, or award ceremonies, that kind of thing. But more recently, it's been the adoption by sports and sports gambling, sports betting, that's really been sort of rising up in popularity and awareness and usage of our platform. And it's some of those events that have driven our peak events. So our peak event so far has been about 500,000 concurrent viewers all joining and watching a horse race. It's the Cheltenham horse race every year in the UK, where you've got 500,000 people joining and watching the final race. Now through the week, there are many events every day, bridge crossing the 250,000, 300,000 concurrent mark. And they're all happening very quick. They're very short races. Everybody joins all at once and then they watch the race and everybody leaves, right? So it's actually kind of a worst case scenario for a streaming platform. It's not like a long event where everybody's joining and leaving a little bit at a time. It's like everybody wants to watch it right now. Everybody joins. Everybody watches for 4 minutes. Everybody leaves. And so we had to build our platform not only for the high scale, but also for that high join rate. That's our biggest event. Each one of our pops, we regularly test to 1 million concurrents just to make sure that we have tested that headroom. But then we also have tens of thousands of channels, so that breadth of scale as well every day. So this is some figures and facts around what we've done.
Is synchronization part of the protocol, or is that something you guys have added?
It's something that we added, on top of, the core protocol, so that we're able to ensure a level of synchronization, above and beyond one might get from using WebRTC sort of out of the box. We have some intellectual property around that, and we focus on that as one of our, key performance indicators, making sure that everybody is getting the stream, at the same time within a very small synchronization window of a few frames of video. That's really key. And we can apply that to, our HLS output as well. We do support HLS output and, the delivery of that in low latency with synchronization as well. So, it's a technology that we have that, spans the different protocols.
When you talk about ABR delivery, is that also at that, half a second latency, or is that going to be a little bit longer?
No, that's all within the sub half second latency envelope. We're doing the adapted bitrate video delivery. So we create the video bitrate ladder, and we're delivering the best possible quality to each user based on what's going on in the network at the time. And there's a little bit of intellectual property there around how do you do that in a way that allows you to switch within the real-time buffers, because a real-time buffer is much shorter than the keyframe interval. And so you have to do some things to be able to switch quickly and not have to wait for the next keyframe. And so we do that in our platform to make sure that not only are they getting the right bandwidth for their the right picture quality for their bandwidth and adapting up and down, but you're adapting quickly and seamlessly, not having gaps and breaks or delays in the video stream.
Okay. And you talked about server-side ad insertion. Is that, I guess that necessarily is going to be proprietary. How challenging was it to do that in half a second worth of latency?
It was quite a challenge, and I think one of the reasons why we're able to accomplish it is the fact that we own all of the that pipeline in terms of the code we wrote to handle it all. We weren't forced to deal with a situation where we had to work through any kind of third-party library that really wasn't set up for it. We owned that code. We integrate with standard advertising endpoints like VAST endpoints, and we have the ability to take SCUDdy markers in, have a rules engine that calls out to different VAST tags and gets standard responses. We then take those standard VAST responses and we take the content and do a just-in-time transcode and insert that into the video. And then we also beacon back all the required beacons for the viewer viewing that content. And so we can do personalized real-time ad insertion that doesn't impact the end-to-end latency, and delivers that personalized monetization opportunity. So it's something that the markets very much need and want. And now that we have this capability, has opened up new markets and opportunities for those who monetize their content through advertising.
There's a bunch of services out there that do low latency, both with the WebRTC and otherwise. Or is your server-side ad insertion, 100% unique, similar, or, how would you characterize that in the market?
I'm not aware of anybody else that's done server-side ad insertion in real time. I know that there's people out there talking about server-guided ad insertion, and there's client-side ad insertion, but I'm not aware of another real-time offer that includes server-side ad insertion. And we stitch the ad into the video content on the server side and send it down to the client so that there's no gap, there's no transition on the client's part. The client isn't choosing to subscribe to a new stream and then coming back. There's nothing like that. It's just frame by frame of video coming down to the client, and one frame is the last frame of the content, the next frame is the first frame of the video or the ad content, and then seamlessly transition back at the end of the ad. So that's how we're delivering a seamless experience that the viewer is just it's a very smooth stream, because it's all done on the server side.
Why is it important to do, I guess you kind of answered the question, but client-side ad insertion doesn't work that way, or it introduces some kind of, interruptions?
Yeah, well, potentially, and in reality, you do see a lot of that when you do client-side ad insertion, particularly when talking about the combo of client-side ad insertion with an underlying real-time stream. You've got to switch from that real-time stream to some other stream, whether it's another real-time stream or more likely like an HLS stream. And so you've got to deal with the transition logic client side to make sure that you're trying to align with a certain insertion point and have that video start seamlessly with no UI delay, because you're not, you might have to switch players on the client side. You might have to switch, rendering layers. And so it's more likely to introduce some sort of glitch, on the client that you might be able to see. I'm not saying it can't be done perfectly smoothly, but I think it's a lot more challenging than when the server's inserting the frames and it's just a continuous flow of video frames to the client. There's nothing for it to do other than just to continue to play the video like it normally does, right? So I think that provides a bedrock for a more reliable and smooth experience for the user.
Okay. What did you just announce with Play Anywhere? What is that?
With Play Anywhere, we've announced a partnership where they've got the exclusive interactive rights that they're acquiring and using to drive experiences for viewers in the interactive space, and our platform allows for them to deliver video along with their interactive experiences and in a real-time way that allows for that whole experience to be interactive. And like we said before, comprises both of the end-to-end latency, but also the synchronization, so that when they go from a regular sort of experience to an interactive experience with video, they're able to have that experience be coherent for all the users that are experiencing that at the same time.
So what if I'm a broadcaster who is using Play Anywhere right now? I'm not low latency, or I'm not half a second latency. So you're enabling them to drop latency down from 10 to 40 seconds to a half a second.
Yeah, both potentially in the mainstream, but also especially in the secondary experience that the user clicks to have an interactive experience, and then they get another experience from Play Anywhere that could have the same video or different video integrated into it, and sort of complete the interactive experience. So you might have multiple angles, you might have a different form of the video in the experience once you switch over into the interactive component.
Who's doing what? You're delivering, I think I heard you say you're delivering the video and they're delivering the interactive experience.
That's right. Yeah, we are the video platform. Our scope of operation is to make sure that the video, audio, and any ancillary data that you want to add to your stream are all being ingested, processed, and delivered globally with that guarantee, of the end-to-end latency and the synchronization. So that then gets integrated into the user interface that's created, that Play Anywhere drives, that has the interactive components that are outside the video, whether that's the gamification or other sorts of experiences that you might create with Play Anywhere.
Okay, and that includes the server-side ad insertion that you talked about a moment ago.
Yeah, that can be layered in on top, right? So now you can have the monetization option of ad insertion along with the interactive monetization components that Play Anywhere has.
Okay. It just for perspective, I mean, if I'm broadcasting the Super Bowl, I'm using traditional CDNs, I'm using traditional, some kind of maybe even normal latency technology, judging from the results, Phoenix has shown over the last few years for latency. But,
yeah,
what does that mean? If Fox is getting the Super Bowl this year, if you convince them to use their combined solution, does that mean they have to have one stream over their traditional CDN and another stream over your network of WebRTC capable CDNs?
They could do the whole thing over Phoenix, delivering the mainstream as well as the interactive components, right? Because you might have the main produced feed and you might have multiple, say, camera angles or other sorts of content that you want to integrate into the interactive experience. They could put that all over the Phoenix network, or you could have a mix where the main broadcast feed is delivered using one technology, and then the interactive experience is delivered using another. But the problem with that is now you have users with two different sort of latency feeds, and that might introduce some issues with regards to their overall experience, right? I mean, if the main feed is 40 seconds delayed and you've got an interactive feed that's in real time, that's going to create a dissonance. So maybe you would have a situation where you'd want the user, once they click into the interactive experience, now get everything in real time, but you might still maintain a non-real time stream if someone is not interactive. If they're just sitting on their couch watching the main stream, they have a lot of experience with and a lot of workflow built around that. And so, we often find a bifurcation of content, one down the traditional pipes and one down the interactive pipes.
What's the cost premium for low latency at this point?
Less and less, every day. I mean, as it grows in popularity and the amount of content and the amount of streams, grows, we're able to take advantage of the economies of scale. I mean, it is still a premium offer, and that it does something that other offers, can't do by providing things in real time with ad insertion, with the digital rights management, with the synchronization. So it's a premium because it does some things that are different. But in terms of price competitiveness, the more and more we grow, the more we're able to compete and get to that same rough price point, even if it's still a little bit more for the premium features.
I mean, you've shown, I alluded to this a moment ago, you show Super Bowl latency and drift statistics on your website from, I guess, this, 2024 and probably before that. What's kept broadcasters from using your solution or another ultra low latency solution in the past? I mean, why hasn't, the horse race at 500,000 is nice, but Super Bowl is 41 million or, what kept traditional sports from embracing, ultra low latency?
Well, clearly one part of it was the lack of server-side ad insertion and digital rights management. That's something that is relatively new, for us and for the industry around real time. So it wasn't until I believe a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, where we had announced that capability and rolled out that feature. And so that was really something that needed to be done to unlock, just to have access to the potential for that market. Because without without ad monetization, there was no realistic expectation that that content could come through a real time network. So that was one thing, or two things, SSAI and DRM that needed to happen in order to unlock the potential there. And then it is still relatively speaking to HLS and sort of CDN, it's still relatively new, and it is somewhat specific to enabling new experiences, right? I mean, like I mentioned before, if you're leaning back in your couch watching the stream, I mean, we're looking at data now. There are some surveys out there that say somewhere 60%, 80% of people have a phone even while they're on the couch doing something else on the phone. And people are starting to understand that even when you're leaning back, you're still interacting, like where you're watching the Twitter feed, or you're interacting on Facebook. You're doing something with your device. A lot of people are, and so it's not quite just lean back. It's lean sideways, lean down. I mean, it's sort of, yeah, I'm leaning back, but I'm also still engaged. I'm not leaning forward like on my laptop where I'm totally able to interact with a HTML clickable kind of experience, because I'm leaning back, but you're interacting with social, and people are not happy when they learn about the goal before they see the action on the screen. And I don't know about you, but I hear from my networks, people like, I'm turning off my notifications while I watch this game because I want to enjoy the experience of the game, right? And so there's this kind of two motivators here. One is motivating towards new experiences, whether it's fantasy, gamification, keeping people engaged in the sport. I think a lot of the sports leagues want to increase the sort of stickiness and grow their user base. They want to have ways that people get engaged that keep them coming back. And like if you have a leaderboard, or you have some sort of a game that you're leaving between actual sports events, you want to come back to see how you're doing and to stay engaged in that experience. So there's that. Kind of part of it is building these interactive experiences around sports properties, but then there's also just the dealing with the interactivity that's already there, the social networks and stuff. And so I think the social network interactivity probably drives people down towards broadcast latency. So there is certainly an awareness that the online streams ought to be coming closer to broadcast latency, and that's so that so long as all the people you're interacting with are also watching the broadcast, now you're all kind of on a level playing field, right? More or less. But it doesn't fully solve the problem, because you still do have people in stadium, and you still have data feeds, and you still have, these other experiences like the one we're, collaborating with Play Anywhere about. So there are these truly interactive experiences as separate from the sort of ambient interactivity. And I think I'm seeing the industry kind of pull latencies down, trying to pull them down to kind of broadcast level. But then, once you get there, I think there's still going to be enough, pull or drive for these interactive experiences for at least a portion of the audience to be, driven towards that real-time experience. So I think we're still seeing, an evolution, a transition, if you will, and it sort of only begun, once the ad insertion and rights management was available. So it's sort of only now that people are even able to consider some of these things.
It seems like sports betting has gone crazy. I mean, 2 years ago, you never saw anything about betting on a traditional sports channel, and now it's unavoidable. And certainly that's got to be your friend. It also seems like you're in a situation with PlayReady where you can help advance their technology and they can help advance your technology, because you kind of, once you add interactivity, the whole concept of real time becomes much more important, as well as synchronization.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And that's a great thing for us. And we're definitely reaching out and open to all sorts of partnerships, because there are people creating interactive experiences, all over the place. Well, there's obviously the betting and wagering is, a whole topic in and of itself. But then you've got people that are creating, interactive experiences around, let's say you have content like car racing, where you've got cameras all over a track, and you've got cameras in the vehicles, and you want to create interactive experiences around that, where we've done this and other people have done this, where you have multi-angle kind of experiences. But I think it's going to continue to advance, especially with AI and sort of somewhat automated production, where these experiences might morph to where you have users that have expressed interest in certain drivers, certain experiences, whether that's explicitly, like I like these drivers, or whether that's implicitly because I've wagered on these things in the sports book. Therefore, I should get an experience when I watch the race that's geared towards the fact that I'm watching these wagers, and so I get angles of content that are relevant to the wagers that I've made, right? These sorts of things, I think, are almost, I don't want to say inevitable, but they're good ideas that would enhance my experience as some, if you could take the information you know about me and my interests and tailor a experience that gives me more of what I want and less of what I don't, I think that's positive, for everybody. And there's lots of companies that are thinking about these kinds of experiences, and we're the platform that enables it. So we're happy to talk to everybody that wants to talk about an interactive experience of any type, because we're that platform that enables that, and we have the SDKs and the protocols and the platform around the world to support it.
how much technical build out is necessary for your Play Anywhere relationship? Is that a huge development task, or is it something that it's more of a business arrangement?
It's, the technology has been there and available for a long while. So it wasn't a new technology development effort. This is using existing technologies from both sides and coming together, in a business level partnership to use these technologies together.
How does that manifest for me if I'm a broadcaster? Is there one salesperson I speak with, or is it, how does it change for me now that you've announced this together?
It's an ease of adoption, so that we have all of the pieces worked out, both business and technology, before a conversation happens, so that as we engage, we've got a very smooth path towards realization of that experience.
Okay. Listen, Bill, that's all I have. Thanks for taking the time today. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a pleasure. Thanks, Jan.